Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well and that you've had a good week. It's a horrible weather day here today. It's pouring with rain and it's very sort of grey and dark. My husband's out playing golf in this. What do you say to that? Actually, it's very good for him. I'm glad that he plays. But I know when he comes home, my kitchen is going to be filled with wet golf clubs and golf bags and golfing clothes drying over the Argo. Mind you, I've got to take the boys out later for a walk, so I'm sure my walking boots and wet weather gear will be drying with Ray's golf gear as well. A lot of people have been in contact this week asking any news on the gentleman who had gone missing. Unfortunately, the search parties on Sunday did find his body and it was in the next cove to us. It's very, very sad. My heart goes out to his family. I don't know anything more than that. There was an announcement in our local newspaper, but it didn't give any more details. Okay, this week, Ray and I have been plagued by a cold. Definitely not COVID. We've done umpteen tests and it doesn't feel like COVID. We've just had a blocked nose to start with and then a runny nose. It's been very hard trying to stitch with a runny nose. But I have been stitching. I started a new sampler and I was going to pick a Christmas themed sampler, but when I went into a storage box, the first sampler on the top was Dinah Elizabeth Disney, which is a small red sampler from Norfolk, and I thought, oh, I'm going to start that. Here she is. Very pretty sampler. I've really enjoyed working these 2 rows of 4-sided stitch. That's been very entertaining. I've really enjoyed planning my route and doing that. I should be doing some more on this tonight. I couldn't really stitch last night. My nose was running so badly. I just went to bed early and snuggled down and watched Strictly Come Dancing and then went to sleep. My next project is going to be a Bobby Dazzler of a sampler. It's a big sampler, lots of colours, lots of different stitches, and I can't wait to start that. So this is a nice little infill until that sampler is ready. Really looking forward to that. This week we released little Bertha Lausch. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her surname. It's Lausch. I think it's Lausch, but I could be wrong. Very pretty sampler. It's all cross stitch over 2, with the exception of this top row, which is half cross stitches. You're only laying 1 leg of a cross stitch over 2 threads. Very, very pretty. I love the fonts on the alphabet and the little dividing rows. Very, very pretty. I stitched this one a while ago and it's only now that I've actually been able to sort of put her onto general release. Too much going on this year. Bertha is available as a printed booklet and as a PDF download from the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website. There is a supply of these booklets with our distributors and you will be able to pick up this book from your local needlework store. I know that the Attic have a supply and so does Hobby House Needleworks, but I'm sure that when Hoffman's and Yarn Tree announced this booklet a few days ago, that other stores will be having her in stock as well. Now, with Bertha, I love the name Bertha. She finished a sampler in 1891. This sampler was acquired in the United States, so Lisa charted her and I stitched her. We couldn't find a Bertha Lausch of the right age and the right time period in the United States. We could find people with that name, but not in a time span that fitted. But we have found several Berthas in the right time frame, and all of them were born in Germany or Austria. So we suspect that this sampler was stitched in Germany or Austria, and either the little girl, when she was older, emigrated to the United States and took a sampler with her, or it was bought and imported into the United States. The stitch count is 158 stitches by 106. It's not a big sampler at all, and it won't take you long to stitch. This will be an ideal sampler to stitch as a blessing sampler in January, or to stitch over the Christmas New Year week. You know, very doable within a few days. If you stitch the sampler on 14 count Ada or 28 count linen, it would be 11.29 by 7.57. If you stitched her on 18 count Ada or 36 count linen, it would be 8.78 by 14.78. And if you stitched it on 46 count linen, it would be 6.87 by 4.61. Just one colour. I stitched the sampler in Soie 103-493, but we have conversions for Soie d'Alger and DMC on the booklet and on our website. On our website, when you go onto the web page for a sampler, you will see that we list in the tabs under the thumbnail photographs the thread legend, the linen sizes and the stitches used in the sampler. Really lovely, lovely little sampler, and what's lovely, you can stitch it on Ada as well as linen. The next sampler I'm going to talk about is Jonson, and this is a Bobby Dazzler of a sampler. It was reproduced and stitched by Lisa Brown, and it just is absolutely glorious. Let me just show you. There is so much in this sampler. We've got the moon and the sun, and we've got some stars. We've got these beautiful trees and this really impressive house. And unusually, the walls of the house are not stitched. Look at those little animals, little stags. Then we've got a bird. The use of the red and the pink and the orange is really stunning in this sampler. Now this is heavy. One of the things that really drew me to this sampler when I bought it was the flowers stitched within the flower heads. So different. The use of red in this sampler, it is stunning. Really, really stunning. A beautiful sampler that's going to be magnificent on anybody's sampler wall. Now this sampler is an exclusive for Traditional Stitches in Canada. Every year Traditional Stitches has one of our samplers that they run a stitch along for, and the stitch along for Jonson will start on February the 14th. And the stitch along is run by Rose Heck, who is an amazing, prolific stitcher. She's a fabulous stitch along leader. Rose has created a 12-month plan for the stitch along, and Rose and Janice record a Flosstube every month talking about what they've stitched in the month before and the plan for the stitching in the month ahead. And Rose and Janice will give stitchers a lot of help to guide them through this sampler. The sampler has cross stitch over 2 threads. Only the text has been worked in cross stitch over one thread, and the text is, as we have much to undergo, we all need patience here below, that after we have done his will, we may be found on Zion's hill. Very sweet little verse. The sampler is a big one. It's 261 stitches wide by 461 stitches long. I love this shape. When you're building a sampler wall, one of the things that makes them eye-catching and makes every sampler stand out is a variation of shapes and sizes. If you have samplers all of a similar size, nothing jumps out. But when they're all different sizes, your eye just goes around all of them and you look at all of them. This is so beautiful. So, so beautiful. It uses a palette of 16 colours, and the linen that the model was stitched on was tabby cap linen. If you stitched it on 28 count linen, it would be 18.64 by 32.5. If you stitched it on 36 count linen, it would be 14.5 by 25.28. And if you stitched it on 46 count linen, which is what the model has been stitched on, it would be 11.35 by 19.78. Now, I think I got a little bit diverted when I was mentioning the stitches. My head is so full of cold, my brain isn't working properly today. Let me just go back to the stitches. So it's predominantly cross stitch laid over 2 threads of linen with only the text in cross stitch over 1. But she also used satin stitches to create 2 beautiful cartouches and a sawtooth dividing row. Very, very pretty. Very pretty indeed. That's the sawtooth row and it's staggered. That's the one cartouche, and the other cartouche is satin stitch in a sawtooth border using 2 colours. Very, very pretty. Now, Lisa has written a postscript for the book, and I would like to read that to you. Some of the samplers stitched by young girls were so serious and sombre. I love Anne Jonson because she is full of whimsy. Whether it was Anne or her teacher, someone had a playful nature. Look at that striped vase with flowers that look like lollipops and have a flower inside of each flower. The striped ducks, the parade of animals. All of these and more are tucked in with more traditional motifs which combine for an overall elegant design that is a delight to stitch. I hope Anne Jonson makes you smile as you stitch her. That's a lovely postscript from Lisa. With the stitch along, the charts and kits are available from Traditional Stitches, but I will be shipping booklets only from the ordered from certain countries. Janice from Traditional Stitches will confirm to you whether the booklet will be coming from me or from Canada. For those who buy the full kit, Janet has this gift, but these are limited, and I do know that there's only a few left. A lot of people have been pre-ordering Anne. She's been very, very popular. So if you want one of these, you need to act very quickly and go onto the Traditional Stitches website. This is a thread bed. Now, thread beds are very, very useful. This is quilt wadding, and this grabs your needles and holds them. So when you're stitching and you've got lots of changes of colours, you can just put your needle and thread down there, and you can turn this over and they just stay on. This fabric grabs them. And then when you finish for the evening, you can just clip it together and your silks are all there safe and protected. The silks that you have, or the cottons that you have actually on the go at the moment. That is exclusive to Traditional Stitches. It's great. a beautiful sampler, and we're so pleased to be working with traditional stitches again. We've had Anne Morrison, we've had Esther Blackwood, we're just finishing Lucy Barber, and now we have Anne Jonson. 4 samplers that are all Bobby Dazzlers, but I do have to admit, I think that this one is the icing on the cake. It is so, so beautiful. Shall we have one more look at it? Let's start from the bottom this time and work our way up. That red, it's such a beautiful, beautiful shade. Now this linen was very, very carefully matched to the original sampler, and it really makes these colours pop. I'm sorry about the reflection. Such a dark, miserable day out there. I love all of these trees, and I love the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon are very special symbols. And those flowers, those flower heads, adorable. And that basket of flowers is glorious again. And of course the basket itself hasn't been solidly stitched, just like the house. It's such a shame that we couldn't find Anne Jonson. The only Anne Jonson spelt J-O-N-S-O-N in the time frame was in Antrim, Ireland, but I don't think that this sampler is Irish. I think that this sampler comes from the north of England. We did find one Anne Jonson in Longton, Stafford, and she was the daughter of Samuel Jonson, and we suspect that that might be our Anne, but we really can't say. Family history research, it can be so difficult at times. This last week, well, the last 2 weeks, I've been researching a sampler which we will be bringing out in just over a month's time, and I was just putting the finishing touches to the booklets and just getting all my research together, and all of a sudden every little bit of information just fell into place about the girl. It was almost as if the girl wanted to be found. And sometimes you have a sampler, you think, gosh, with that name, you know, you're going to find the person, and you just come up against brick walls all the time. I think some girls don't want their samplers to be reproduced and others do. If you're interested in family history, there's a super magazine in the UK called Family Tree. And in the December edition, there is an article on embroidered heirlooms tracing the people and histories of samplers, and whilst Idris Naps and Hands Across the Sea samplers are featured in the article. So that's a very interesting family history magazine if you're into your family history research. I'm going to read 2 cards to you, and I thought this week we would read 2 cards that weren't on hats cards. So the first one is this beautiful poppy, and these petals are 3D. It's very beautiful. It says, "Dear Nicola, I'm typing my note because my arthritis is acting up, and I'm afraid it would take you your whole video to read my handwriting, lol. One of my favourite flowers is a poppy, and when I saw this card, I knew I wanted to send it to you. Poppy is one of our favourite flowers. One of our beloved boxes was a poppy, and we have lots of poppies in our garden in her memory." Okay, back to the card. A little about my stitching journey. When I was a teenager, I stitched a stamp... Sorry, my mouth is not working today. I stitched a stamped cross-stitch quilt for a new baby cousin being born. I love stitching, the colourful threads and so on, but school and activities took over and I forgot about cross-stitch. When I was 21 and newly engaged, a future brother and sister-in-law were pregnant with twins. I wanted to make them something special for their babies and remembered how much I liked to cross stitch. My mum was doing crown-to cross stitch at the time and suggested that I try that. She took me to my local needlework store and I found a cute pattern with 2 bears. Of course, it was in the 80s. My passion took off from there and has never stopped. Celebrating your birthday by opening your wonderful red box was pure exhilaration. As I opened each beautifully wrapped gift, I thought of you, your sweet, kind heart, and all the work and love that you put into each lovely gift. You give so much of yourself to the stitching community, and for that I'm so grateful. Wishing you a blessed birthday year filled with lots of love and stitching. That's so lovely. Thank you so much. Beautiful card, and one that I will cherish. The other card comes with a separate letter to be read out. And the card is a beautiful one of butterflies. It's a Rebecca Dawson Steele card and it's the Nectar collection. Nicola, I can't thank you enough for your lovely red box letters from Europe. The work that went into making this a gift for us stitchers is beyond comprehension. As I was opening the box, my whole being was smiling. The possibilities that lay before me, the exquisite objects, and of course the beautiful red box, simply gorgeous. I picked up needle and thread again in the beginning of the pandemic after stitching in the late 1970s and mid-80s. I'm self-taught but grew up with a grandmother and mother who sewed clothes. The same grandmother dabbled in other crafts but not needle and threads. Your Flosstube was the first one I encountered, and after seeing your needle need frames, I knew I had to acquire the same. With all the different sizes available, I reached out to you for some guidance and you were so kind to Zoom with me and talk. So I've been stitching again since 2020 and have thoroughly enjoyed my needlework journey. Besides cross stitching, I have 2 wool applique quilt whips and have some quilt whips as well as a fabric collection. Occasionally, I sew doll clothes for my granddaughters. Besides all of that, I love to bake. Baking was my creative time for a long time, but not so much now. Happy birthday, Nicola. I know that probably sounds odd 8 months later, but with your reading of the cards, it seems like yesterday. Take care and happy stitching. Thank you. Lovely, lovely card. I love to bake too. The only trouble is, when you bake, you eat, and it's no good for your hips. Baking is such a creative part of cooking. It's something that I very much enjoy. At the moment in the UK, we have the Great British Bake Off running, and this week now it's the final and it's gripping the nation. I'd love to go on the Great British Bake Off, but you know, I haven't got time for things like that these days. Time is the big thing. I've been taking it a little bit easier. I've been trying to get in good long walks every day with the boys, trying to build up my fitness for walking, and it's been very enjoyable. When I walk, I think, got lots of ideas for future projects. I really want the future for Hands Across the Sea Samplers focused very much on learning and growing for everybody, and we grow through knowledge and experience and learning, and I've turned my mind to lots of potential projects for that. Yes, we are definitely going to be doing a red box. I don't know if it will be the end of next year or the beginning of 2025. I'm still talking to Ray about having things in the house and things that he wants happening in the house next year. But the theme for the next red box is amazing. So excited. I can't wait. If I could, I would do it tomorrow because I'm so excited about it, but that's not possible. It's going to be amazing, honestly. I promise you. It's just, it's wow, wow, wow. Okay, I suppose I better get the video uploaded and get the boys out. I'm very late this morning. I just felt really rotten with this cold this morning, and I took some medication and it sort of knocked me back out this morning, but my nose has stayed dry throughout the video. Okay, stay well, stay safe, and if God is kind, I'll be back next week with another Flosstube. Bye-bye.